Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the All About People sessions. My name is Irene, and I am the Culture Ambassador here at Imperial. We have with us today Jordan Branco as our guest. Jordan is the Business Development and Lead Green Associate at NextGen. Hello, Jordan, how are you?
Good, Irene. How are you?
I'm doing great, so happy to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I know that you're very busy with everything that you're doing, but I love that you took the time to come and hang out with us.
Always. I would never give this up.
So let's start with a little bit about yourself. Can you share a little bit like what's your background? Where did you go to school? Did you grow up here in Rhode Island? A little bit about you.
Yeah, of course. So I actually grew up in Brockton, Massachusetts. Pretty big city right outside of Boston. And I went to high school there, which is pretty cool because we had 5,000 students in my high school.
Wow.
Which was almost like the size of a university or a college. But I love it. My family moved to a smaller town called Norton, Massachusetts. But I stayed in school in Brockton, which I would never give up. And it was a very multicultural city, which was really cool to experience. And then I actually went to college after high school. I went to the University of Connecticut, UConn, where I played soccer. And I did 2 years there. And then I transferred to another college called Southern New Hampshire University, where I also played soccer.
All right, and I understand that you played soccer professionally.
Yes, I did.
Yes, yeah. So tell me a little bit, like, tell me, where did you play and how did that come about?
So, soccer has always been like a huge passion of mine. It was always my dream as a kid to, become a professional. And I started with obviously going the college route. I played for the academy team of the New England Revolution, which is the professional team. And I had a couple tryouts after college here within the MLS, but nothing happened. So I was at a crossroad and I said, I don't want to give up on this. So I actually went to Portugal, where my family's from. So I went to a team called Santa Clara, which is in the Azores, in San Miguel. And I kind of started living a little bit of a dream. And like things happen in life, I actually got an injury. So I got sent back home. And I kind of also was at a crossroad again, where I could either stop and maybe go just get a job in my degree. But I said, I'm going to give it another chance. And I actually went to Iceland. And I ended up living in Iceland for 2 years.
Wow. Wow, how amazing. How was it like a cultural shock?
Yes, Iceland was probably the most unique country I've ever been to in my life. From a language perspective, very different, very cold. The weather was, always snowing, but everyone on my team obviously made me feel like family. But it was cool because I went, I had a tryout, and I ended up calling my parents and I said, I got a contract and I'm not coming home.
Oh, wow. Amazing, Jordan. And you played there for 2 years?
Yes, I played there for 2 years.
Wow. And how was the transition of like ending that and now moving back to the United States? Like, what was the transition like, and why it happened?
Yeah, so I actually wanted to continue. That was my dream, and I kind of was going the path. I unfortunately had a tragedy in my family where my dad passed away in a car accident. So I kind of had to take a step back, and I had my 2 sisters here and my mom, and I kind of said, you know what, I'm going to stay, try to help the family. Yeah. So I kind of put it in my past, but like anything in life, we know things happen, and you can either dwell on it or try to move forward and continue.
Yeah, yes. And what did you study when you went to college?
So I began in business.
Okay.
And after a couple years, I said, I'm not really loving the classes. So I went to marketing and communications, which I absolutely loved. And I just liked talking to people, so I thought it fit a little bit better.
Well, it makes sense because right now you are working like with customers and you're working kind of in the area. Tell me a little bit about the position that you hold right now at NextGen.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So when I got this job, I actually knew one of the owners at the original company. He was my neighbor growing up, and he always said, "I want you to work for me, please." So I said, "I'll give it a chance." So I actually began working in the warehouse, and then I rode on the trucks for 6 months, and then I worked on the inside. And after a while, I kind of was saying, oh, I thought I was going to do sales, but my boss at the time said, "You passed the test." He said, "You did everything without complaining, and now you know every part of the business." He said, "So now I want you to get into sales."
That's
And
so smart.
it was really cool, and I didn't think about it as I was a little bit younger at the time. But when I look back on it, I'm like, that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
Oh, and how long have you been with the company?
So this year is going to be 10 years.
Wow, incredible. And I'm sure that you've seen the company change in these 10 years.
Yes, we started as Supreme Industrial Products, which was a very small family-owned, two brothers. We then bought a couple companies, probably within a 3-year span. And then we merged with a couple local companies to form what is now NextGen Supply Group.
Okay.
And then actually a couple years back, NextGen sold to an even larger company called Envoy Solutions,
Okay.
which lasted about 2 years. And then Envoy Solutions sold to a company which is now called Brady Plus.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep track.
It's a lot of transitions.
Wow, and I bet that with these transitions, there were like situations that you had to deal with. And what do you think these changes affected the structure of your company, the structure of your position?
Yeah, so I think that, everyone gets always a little worried, what's going to happen, how drastic are the changes going to be.
Yeah.
But we always try to keep our team culture the same for as long as possible until, the new companies kind of take over. The best part is that these companies that have taken over, they've kind of allowed us to keep that team culture.
Oh, good.
On a local basis. So we're very lucky to have that. But it's always hard with whether or not there's going to be layoffs, people's salary changing, or maybe bringing new people in that sometimes maybe skip ahead of others.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we've been, kind of very lucky.
And you speak multiple languages.
Yes, I do.
Tell me a little bit about that. How many languages do you speak?
So I tell everyone I technically speak 5.
Okay.
So it's funny because they always say people either have one part of the brain that is very good with math and mathematics or language, and I'm terrible at math. So I tell people don't give me numbers.
Exactly.
But I was lucky because I grew up speaking English and Portuguese, as my parents are both Portuguese. My mom is actually Portuguese and Peruvian.
Oh wow, what a mix.
Yeah, it's a very cool mix, but she doesn't speak Spanish.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, she doesn't speak Spanish, but I've just been fascinated with languages. So when I was younger, I would read books on languages, and my parents thought it was weird, but nowadays I'm very blessed to have it. So that's where the Spanish comes from.
Okay.
And especially in this type of work, a lot of Spanish, a lot of Portuguese in the janitorial and the facilities sector. But I was also very lucky to kind of grow up in Brockton, where there's a very big Cape Verdean population.
Oh, nice.
And Cape Verde obviously used to be a Portuguese colony, so they speak Cape Verdean Creole, which is a little different, but it's a very interesting language.
So do you speak Creole?
I do speak Creole.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you speak Spanish, English, Portuguese, and Creole. What's the fifth one?
So the 5th one is Italian.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice,
And
nice.
I tell everyone Italian's my favorite language. And I had family that actually moved to Italy, And when my cousins were younger, I would ask them to write me in Italian, and I would write them in English so we could both learn.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that exchange.
Yeah, and it's a very interesting language too, because I always say if you know Portuguese and Spanish, Italian is so similar.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, well, they're all Romance languages.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, it's so true.
Do you think the fact that you can speak many languages has helped you with your career?
Oh, totally. I feel like, I tell everyone, especially in the United States, it's a melting pot.
Yes.
And it's so amazing to learn another language. And in what we do, especially I think in New England, there's so many different cultures. And I've had so many opportunities where, someone needs some help at a building, and I'm kind of listening, and I feel proud to help,
Of course. Can you tell me, like, for example, a moment where you felt that your customer service skills have that your language skills have supported your customer service skills?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, there's definitely so many different scenarios, but I actually have a funny story, because there was one day when I first started working, and we had a sales rep who came into the office, and I happened to be there, and he said, "There's a guy outside. He's trying to pick up an order from the warehouse, but he doesn't speak English." So I said, "Okay, do you happen to know where he's from or what language he speaks?" And he said, "No, I have no idea." And I said, "Wow, that's going to be really tough to narrow it down."
Yeah.
So I went outside, and I started with Spanish, and it just so happened the guy he was from Puerto Rico.
Oh, great. And did he speak English?
Didn't speak English, which I was
Oh,
very surprised as well.
interesting.
Yes, very interesting. But he said to me, "Thank you so much for the help. Can I have your phone number just in case I ever have a problem?" And I always felt proud, because I knew it was very difficult when my father moved here and my family. And if you have people who can help, it's always just a beautiful thing.
It really is. It really is. I know that every time I hear somebody like struggling to communicate anything, I always jump into action.
Oh, that's
And
amazing.
I go like, "Hola."
Yeah, it's
¿La puedo ayudar?
that's a beautiful part of life,
Yeah.
And no matter where you go in the world, it's amazing how there's so many forms of communication, and we're all capable of learning another language.
Absolutely. And I am also first generation, born in the United States. And I feel like the fact that my parents spoke English and Spanish to me gave me such an edge.
I love that.
And I feel like as immigrants, that's part of our legacy, the things that we can leave to our children. I don't know if you have children right now.
No, so I don't, but it's
Okay.
funny, even like with my sister, I have two nieces, and we're always telling her, it's so important to begin talking to them when they're
Yes.
young, because their minds are like a sponge.
Absolutely.
And nowadays we're so lucky to have all these forms of technology with applications and online learning.
Yes,
So it's
all the apps.
Yeah,
That
all
makes
the
it
apps.
easy.
It does make it easy.
And it is a great gift to give. Not only professionally, but also your brain starts working in a different way.
It's so true.
Like different parts light up
Yes.
when you learn a different language.
Yeah. And I'll say too, it's so funny, because I wouldn't say like in every language I'm 100%, but I always say, and I think people appreciate it, if you try, that's all people care about. So,
It's true.
there's ways of communicating with your hands and other ways.
Yes.
I always say, like, give it a try. If you mess up, there's no problem with it.
More likely than not, people will be moved to help you if you're making the effort to speak
Yes.
their language.
Oh, I completely agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, moving on to your position right now. What is a lead green associate?
That's an interesting one, right?
Yeah.
So when I began working, a lot of buildings in Boston started popping up with like a plaque and a sign outside, and it would say LEED, L-E-E-D. So I started saying, what is this? I'm going to look into it. And they started actually giving these plaques to buildings that were doing basically sustainability and green cleaning. So I was like, you know what, this sounds interesting. And my boss actually asked me, would this be something that you'd be kind of interested in doing? And I said, yeah, I love like setting a new goal to try and learn something. So I actually started with studying, and you have to take a test to get certified.
Okay.
And when I began doing it, I said, whoa, this is a lot. This is actually a lot of stuff that I didn't think was inside of the lead program.
Okay.
So I said, you know what, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure out a way. And it was really interesting because I thought it was only going to be products of what I do, but it actually talks about the whole entire building. So the inside and out, from how many bike racks are actually there at the facility for people to ride a bike to work instead of using a car, and the gas emissions that go out into the atmosphere. It talks about the HVAC systems that the buildings are using in the facilities, and whether or not they're efficient enough or using too much electricity.
Yeah.
So it's a huge program that has a lot of different categories, but very, very, very to learn.
And why do you think sustainability is important in the area that we work, which is the janitorial and sanitation supply industry?
Yeah, I mean, so when I started looking into it, I was kind of more interested in, I looked at it like organic foods. Organic foods started becoming popular, and I was like, wow, why is everyone buying this? It's maybe more expensive, but I started doing some reading, and I was like, okay, well, it's supposed to be healthier, more natural. And then I looked into kind of the chemicals that I was selling to people and that they're using on a daily basis. And some of these items I'm using too on a daily basis, and I realized, okay, they're not all great for our bodies. And whether you're wearing gloves or eye protection. So I said, you know what, let's see how deep we can dive into this. But it's a very important thing that I think more people should get involved in, not only for our own health, but for the future. Everyone's kids and whoever's coming next, because you just don't know what you're spraying or how you're cleaning.
And how is it affecting your health, like in the long run?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is so interesting. So it was basically like because you were walking by and you saw a plaque and decided to research it?
That's how it originally came about.
Wow, how serendipitous. I love it.
Yeah.
I love that when things are coming your way, like you have signs.
It's always in life, right?
Right? You just have to have your eyes open.
I have a good friend who always says, and I try to do this, but it's not always easy to do. But he always says, as I get older in life, I tend to walk slower. And I used to say, what? Why do you walk slower? And he said, because when you move too fast, you miss the signs around you. And I was like,
wow.
Whoa. I was like, that's really powerful.
Yeah.
And here in New England, we walk very fast.
I know. I have short legs.
Yeah.
I have to race when people are walking.
That is too funny.
Going back to your work and what you do in Next Gen, taking into consideration all the changes, you've been there for 10 years, you've seen the company change how do you maintain a good leadership inside of the company? And how do you maintain that, a good environment for your team?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult thing, of course. From playing sports, I think it's really helped me because you're a part of a team, you're with them day in, day out. And I always say, as we all know, we probably spend 80% of our time with the people at work compared to our family.
Yes.
So it's, you have to kind of take a step back and look at that. And it does take a leader. Some people, think a leader can almost be like a dictator, but a good leader is there to help everyone. It's almost like a boat steering the ship. Or a pilot on a plane.
Yes.
They're there to help. So I think that one thing we've done at NextGen is that we've had someone as a leader that has open communication, open doors for people to walk in and out of. And I feel like if you create that culture, I feel like, there's no way to fail.
And is there anything that you feel that has been effective in seeing all the changes again that your company has gone through? Something that you feel that is a constant, something that made you stay, because you obviously stayed through all these changes.
I guess, I never really thought about it like that, but I mean, for me, I love my customers. I think that that's always the most important one for me personally.
Okay.
I would hate to leave and start over, and I've been very passionate about this company. So when I feel passionate about it, I try to obviously give it my full 100%. But when it comes to the company's constant, we have so many people that have been there for 40 years, 25 years. And when I see that they've stayed, even if I'm having a bad day, I always say, you know what? I've only been there 10 years. I can deal with it.
Oh, wow. So it's like resilience.
Yes,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
resilience. That's the perfect word for it.
I love that. And how important do you think the culture in a company is in order to make it successful?
Yeah, I mean, culture is everything. I think that you can have the best workers, the best sales rep, I guess you'd say, but culture is where it starts. That's the beginning. I think that you can have very bad culture, but the company can be successful, but it sometimes can deteriorate very quickly. And again, you want a good culture for people to be able to wake up in the morning and be excited, No one should wake up and say, I have to go to work, which we've all been there. We all have those days. Yes.
Sure, but it shouldn't be a constant.
No, it shouldn't. When people have a good culture, you'll see that they actually work later, or they actually feel like they're not at work. They sometimes look at their watch and say, I can't believe I'm still here right now, but they're enjoying what they're doing.
True, same for me particularly. I worked in many different industries all across different countries and everything. And I don't think I've ever felt the way I feel about working here at Imperial.
Oh, that's amazing.
Sunday night comes and I am not dreading Monday.
Yep.
I'm more like, oh, yay. And I get to go to work on Monday and see the people and enjoy, and everybody just have smiles in here, and it feels so welcome. I know it's like terrible to say, like,
No.
it's like a family. But do you know what I mean? It is that feeling of solidarity.
That is so amazing, because there's that saying, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's so true. Like, just to tell you a quick story, so my last year of college, we technically had on paper the best team in the country. And it's cool to see that, but we didn't end up getting to the final or winning the championship. And I tell people this story because on paper we were the best, but the culture wasn't that great. The year after I graduated, and I still had a lot of teammates on the team who were younger than me, they actually won the national championship.
Oh.
And some people say to me, wow, like, are you angry about that because you missed it by a year? And I say, no, I'm not.
Oh my God.
I'm very happy. Yeah. But when I look at it, there was a great leadership at the time the year after, and the culture is what changed everything. You don't need the best players on the field, but the culture is what made them go, the distance.
It's like you said, we spend more time with the people that you work with or your teammates than with your own family.
Exactly.
Absolutely. It should be good.
Yeah, it has to be.
Otherwise, what are we doing, right?
I completely agree.
And talking about the future, where do you see yourself in the next, let's say, 5 years? Where do you think, all the work that you're doing with sustainability and with environmentalists and everything, where do you see yourself?
Oh, that's a tough one. Maybe President of the United States.
Hard-hitting questions.
It's funny. I think everyone should look for the future, so you have goals and something to strive for. I don't think I've actually thought about it that much,
Okay.
which is a little bit funny. But I mean, our company is growing very fast. We now have 180 locations across the country.
Wow.
So, I mean, I've always been interested in, maybe traveling a little bit more, or maybe taking a role that kind of deals with national accounts.
Nice.
But then I'd also miss, everything I do here locally from a New England standpoint.
Yeah. Well, you trade some things for others.
Yes, that is very true.
So, and growing is important.
Yes, I completely agree.
Yeah. And if you can grow within the same company, that's just what's up.
I was going to say, that always makes it easier, right?
Yeah, of course it is. Jordan, what a pleasure talking to you, man.
Oh.
This is amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's an honor being here.
And thanks everybody for watching another episode of All About People Sessions. We hope to see you in the next one. I'm Irene, and I wish you all a wonderful day. That was amazing, man.
You're amazing. This is so awesome. I love it.
See, it was all very relaxed.
I feel like that flew by.